Hi there. A while back I did a video on camera clubs and how much value there is in being part of a camera club. I now recommend again that anybody, if you are anywhere near where there is a camera club or photography club, by all means go give it a look. You may be surprised at how much you can learn from one of these clubs. This is the second camera club I've been associated with. My first was in Gander, Newfoundland. We just called ourselves the Gander Photography Group. We were pretty informal about everything, but we learned a lot from each other. Now I'm in Moncton, New Brunswick, and part of the Focus Camera Club, which is a much larger club in a much larger center with quite a few organized events as well. And one of the last events was an eagle watch. We loaded up a bus with over 50 photographers and went off to a spot in Nova Scotia where eagles congregate. Needless to say, it was a very enjoyable day. Now, I'm not a bird photographer. I'm not a wildlife photographer. Now, I say that meaning that I have not practiced either one of these things to the point of any really skill or proficiency, and my equipment is not terribly well suited to this sort of thing. Many people there had much longer lenses. I mean, lenses in the 400 to 600 millimeter range were quite common. Teleconverters in some cases as well. Me, I had a choice between a rather pedestrian basically consumer quality 80 to 320 or a high quality 70 to 200 f2.8, which of course didn't give me a lot of reach. However, I surprisingly came back with some very nice images, some of which I'd like to share with you right now. Birds in flight were very difficult for me. It takes a special skill and a special knowledge of your camera's features to be able to effectively focus on birds in flight. So mine was relatively hit and miss. However, I did get this nice shot of a juvenile eagle and then this group of eagles. Now, I did get a couple of more that you'll see later in this series. I like this landing sequence. You can see how the eagle comes in, the air brakes are on, he slows himself down, then he goes in feet first, finally settles on the ground, and when he does, he just stares at this wall of photographers that are a few hundred meters away. Some of the shots had sky in the background, which on a dull, cloudy day was relatively white. Others had the ground, the surface in the background, which was also pretty white from the snow, but had a texture because it was a farmer's field, and there were little furrows all through it that had little tufts of plant life sticking up through them, and you can see that in a lot of these images, including images of some of the eagles actually eating and some others kind of discussing who owned that particular piece of food. In this area, some of the local chicken farmers would take some of the chickens that were not saleable, and they would toss them out for the eagles, the carcasses. Anyhow, it was a very enjoyable day. It was a social event. We had a busload of photographers, so there was a group of like-minded individuals that we spent the day with. Some of the other pictures from the other photographers with the experience and the skill and the gear, they had some absolutely marvelous images. I'm not about to run out and invest a large sum of money into a very long lens right now, because I don't see myself as really getting into this enough for that. And if I can get satisfying images with the gear that I have now, well, that fits with what I've been saying for a couple of years now, and that is keep it simple, simplify. Don't add more gear unless there is a definite need for it. And in my case, bird photography and wildlife photography is something I will practice infrequently, and as a result, having specialized gear for that is rather unnecessary. My 70 to 200 can be used for everything from portraits to scenics to all sorts of things. Something in the longer range of, say, 150 to 500 millimeter, use that as an example, is very specialized and not really something I would make much use of. Well, anyhow, finally I took one of my airborne shots and decided to just play with it. So having a little fun, I took an image from last summer of a wharf down on the coast of the Northumberland Strait, and superimposed over it the eagle flying by. And by putting it in black and white, I managed to make it look, well, passingly realistic. Now, if you look at it closely, you will notice that there's some haloing around the eagle, especially in areas where the light areas overlap the dark areas of the original picture. That's because I didn't take a lot of time with this image. I was just having fun. It was an enjoyable day. I hope you enjoyed the images. I hope you do check out any local camera clubs. And if you like this video, please give me a like. If you would like to see more of my videos, then subscribe to my channel. And of course, if you think anyone is going to get something useful from this particular video, then by all means share it. Well, bye for now.